Concord grifters, start your engines. We are so back. It's been like, I don't know, 2 weeks since I last talked about everyone's favorite failure, Concord. And it's in the news once again because the files are being updated on Steam. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And thank you to Pirate Nation for bringing this information to us. Apparently on Steam, the screenshot that was shown off is showing a changing of depot with information exchanges and updating the system files so that people are going to be able to play Concord again. Hooray! Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down how Concord has been updated in a move to potentially put it live on Steam and obviously by extension back on the PlayStation 5 for a potential free-to-play experience. It appears like Sony isn't completely ready to bury the Concord hatchet just yet. Rumors are now swirling that Firewalk Studios' troubled multiplayer shooter may soon be re-emerging as a free-to-play title, with the company hoping to salvage literally anything from what has been widely regarded and rumored as one of the most, if not most expensive failures in gaming history. And if you missed that video, it was around $400 million. The speculation is stemming from recent activity on Concord's Steam database, with updates to showing the game's files being logged as recent as October 10th. The screenshots taken from Steam database are making the rounds on Reddit, and while the changelog of what the files are remains a mystery, gamers are believing that the updates are pointing to a potential free-to-play relaunch, which is what they should have done from Jump Street. But at the same time, even though this game could potentially be coming back as free-to-play, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be successful. Super Bunzel on Reddit said, "Game wasn't bad, it was just uninteresting, which is worse than bad. Free-to-play wouldn't save this, cause it spent a few weeks as a free beta, and that didn't move the needle." Vagrant Shadow replied, "Add to that the fact that the game's characters were just unappealing. If gamers didn't like the characters when the game first released and they were changed no way now, then things won't change in the game's reception." Ryukupo said, "To add to this, the open beta attracted less people than the closed pre-order exclusive beta did, which led to even less people playing the full game. I imagine now that some people would probably jump in just because of the legacy the game has already acquired, kind of like people going back to play a Bubsy game. But they obviously won't stick with it, and it'd be foolish of Sony to think otherwise." Concord was once hyped as the major AAA release from Sony from the Journal Mafia, and everyone was trying to push this thing as hard as they could. Paul Tassi comes to mind as saying, "Hey, why isn't it showing the right numbers? It can't be this low because it's Sony and it's a fun game. Where is everyone?" The open beta performance indicated disastrously low player engagement, despite significant resources being poured by Sony into the project. With hundreds of millions already invested, there aren't many avenues left for Sony to explore, and transitioning Concord into a free-to-play model seems like a last-ditch effort to recoup some of their losses, or at the very least, generate some positive momentum around the game, potentially as soon as holiday 2024, in preparation for that Amazon Prime series called Secret Level, how they already confirmed that that show is still going forward with the Concord episode. Maybe they want the game to be around to get a bump in players because, hey, I watched this episode, I had no idea what happened, and this game exists, so I'll go play it. Luke Stevens said, "So, Concord is getting updates through Steam on the back end. These aren't tiny updates either. It looks like they're actually making changes to a bunch of different branches. I think this all but confirms they're going to try relaunching it, probably free-to-play." It's no secret that free-to-play has worked wonders for some struggling titles in the past. By lowering the cost to entry, it can bring in a wider audience. Who knows? Potentially even turn things around by monetizing it through in-game purchases and battle passes and all the fun stuff. But that's for games that didn't have the controversy surrounding it like Concord does, with the complete travesty, woke-infested nightmare of a game experience, with characters that were created out of somebody's worst woke nightmare. Grums on Twitter said, "Concord is getting necroed. I believe games can be saved. After spending 180 to 400 million on Concord, there should be an attempt to save it before writing it off. I just don't think this team has the right mentality to do it. They would have to redo all the characters and abandon the message. And honestly, that matches my perspective on this situation to a T. The company, Firewalk Studios, putting this game together is so indoctrinated with the message and the propaganda what they're pushing that they let their ideologies get in the way of making a good game. And I don't believe they're the right people to fix this game either. Gamers already rejected Concord in its original form. Bringing it back as free-to-play might attract some new curious players as an initial bump, but looking at the Steam tracking as the open beta, when it was free, they couldn't get like 2,600 people playing it at once for a free weekend for a new game that had millions of dollars poured into it. And with that being the case, what's so different about it this time around that would make people flock to it? Which makes me turn my attention to Firewalk Studios, and this would fully explain why they didn't completely shut down and close it down after Ryan Ellis, the game director of Concord, stepped down and left the project. Firewalk Studios was still there, and now it looks like Sony bigwigs were deciding, hey, it's kind of like the sunken cost fallacy. We put so much money into it at this point. What's a couple $1 million more at this point just to get it out the door, push it off its last legs, hobbling out the gate, and just say, hey, it's free to play. Maybe we can get some suckers to buy some color rainbow skins on these already rainbow characters. But here's the thing. Even if the game does come out and they do make it free to play and they do have all these add-ons that you can purchase to try to make some money for Sony, that being the case, I have a feeling that Firewalk Studios that has what feels like hundreds of people working there, by the way. This is not a small operation. It's a massive AAA studio with at least over 100 people employed there. After this game gets pushed out the door, there are going to be a number of layoffs, creating just a skeleton crew of people to work on these enhancements and add-ons and DLC content and microtransactions just to squeeze money out of people that are playing it. And then the game is going to just completely flounder and lose all interest, because that's exactly what happens with this type of thing. And I think ultimately Sony knows that. They've already sunk so much money into this game that people were saying they might not even put it back out there in the first place because potential tax implications. They'd be able to take some sort of major tax break, and I'll be honest, I don't know how any of that works. Potentially that is something that if the game never came out again, maybe they would. But the game already did come out, so I don't know how that would work if they pulled it back and were taking a tax loss on it. What seems more likely is Sony would push this game back out, make it free to play, and try to make a few bucks on it at the end of the day. But ultimately, it's not going anywhere. This is not going to be the next golden goose from Sony that they thought it was. If anything, it's going to be the laughingstock of the game industry forever. The example that everyone points to as what not to do when making a game. Eric, Aging Pirate Ninja, said, I honestly don't think there's anything they can do to save this game. They'd have to redesign it from the ground up and call it something else, because the name of Concord is so toxic right now. At that point, they might as well just make a completely new game. Sid Steinhardt said, Concord can be saved in the way Twitter was saved. Fire everyone who isn't dedicated to releasing the best product possible and rebuild it using crack veterans who aren't activists. The community sentiment reflects an opinion that this game does not stand a chance because of the overall architecture of the game that was created. The characters being unappealing, the gameplay being bland. And sure, you can jump in and have some fun sometimes with it, but why would somebody go out of their way to play this game even if it was free, when there are other games, other alternatives, already at the free price point? All in all, this just feels like a desperate move from Firewalk Studios, trying to squeeze any blood out of this stone that they can. And if I'm playing the odds, something tells me it's not going to go well the second time either. But if there is any good news to pull from this, the YouTubers that are going to be crapping on it are going to be getting tons of views and attention, because this is like a car wreck that people just can't look away from. And that should make everyone smile. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down this in much more detail. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
Smash it, J.